An oil tanker ran aground today off the nation's northernmost ice-free port, Valdez, Alaska.
One of the worst oil spills in U.S. history brought Americans images of blackened beaches, dying wildlife, outrage, and betrayal.
The evidence is that the response was slow and inadequate.
Blame soon centered on the tanker captain.
It is now clear that the captain of the tanker, who was not on the bridge at the time of the accident, had been drinking.
But the accident also exposed the inattention to oil industry safety and led to promises to repair the damage that had been done.
We will consider whatever it takes to keep you whole.
And to do more to stop future spills.
We also rededicate ourselves to transportation safety and to realistic planning for accidents that do occur.
Nearly 25 years later, what happened to the promises made in the wake of the Exxon Valdez?
The Gulf spill might already be as much as 3 times worse than the Exxon Valdez disaster.
We've fetched up on the ground, and evidently we'll be getting some oil.
Just past midnight on March 24th, the supertanker Exxon Valdez crashed into a reef off the coast of southern Alaska.
One of America's most magnificent waterways is blackened and befouled tonight by the biggest oil spill in American history.
240,000 barrels, 11 million gallons of Alaskan crude oil escaped from the huge vessel.
The oil industry's response plans had promised a swift cleanup in the event of a spill. But Ricky Ott was alarmed when she flew over the wreck.
We're 9 hours after the wreck, and there was not a speck of promised recovery equipment on the water. This had all been promised within 6 hours, and we were 3 hours past 6 hours, and nothing.
Neither Exxon nor Alyeska, the oil pipeline company in charge of the immediate response, was ready for such a large spill.
Alyeska was supposed to have an emergency response team at its terminal in Valdez, but 8 years ago the team was disbanded.
The response vessels were either under snow or being repaired. They were completely overwhelmed. Coast Guard didn't quite know what to do.
Equipment to fight the spill has to be flown in from as far away as Texas and England.
Exxon says it's using all available resources, but it argues the spill is simply too big to surround with booms and skim it up.
As images of the spill appeared on the evening news, Exxon began limited tests of chemical dispersants to try to break up the oil. The dispersants were controversial, and it was unclear if they would work or cause even more harm.
The chemicals that you use to cause the oil to sink is very dangerous to marine life, and we have to be certain that we cause a minimal amount of damage.
But it was soon too late to matter.
Winds up to 70 miles an hour virtually shut down the oil spill cleanup operation this morning.
The storm had come up and the oil was moving, and almost nothing could be done.
Some crews are literally on their knees using absorbent towels to remove the oil from rocky beaches.
Less than 15% of the oil was recovered. News cameras captured the damage.
800 miles of shoreline already covered with oil.
And the anger.
This should have been the easiest spill in the world to clean up.
Growing questions about how future disasters of this kind can be prevented, and why there was such a slow response to this spill.
The explosion happened at the Deepwater Horizon rig Tuesday night.
Now everyone's hoping and praying that the Gulf of Mexico rig doesn't turn into an environmental disaster.
We're going to fight it subsea, on the surface, and on the shore.
After the BP oil spill, a presidential commission found that many lessons of the Exxon Valdez had been forgotten in the pursuit of offshore oil drilling.
3 years out from Exxon Valdez, there was still a deep commitment to applying the lessons that had been learned. 10 years out, that commitment had substantially eroded. If you come back in the year 2020 and ask, what have we learned? Are we safer? I think we'll know whether we really learned the lesson of Exxon Valdez.